Bang! Neves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife, Kara, is at work. And we got the USMC fighter from Medford review to do. So let me clean this blade up and yeah, let's get to it. First off, right off the bat, I have to thank Mr. Amazing. He's done so much for our channel. And honestly, I don't think he could surprise us, or, you know, and I don't even want to say that. I don't even want to say that, but, you know, I just feel at this point there's nothing more that somebody can do for you than what he's done for us. He's done so much for our channel and just been so amazing. I am going to do a full video of all the, things he's, gifted us. It makes the most amazing collection. It's definitely our most prized pieces in our collection came from him. So thank you so much, man. We really, really appreciate you. All right. So this thing's an absolute beast. S35VN PVD coated blade, titanium frame lock, and if you guys don't know, this is supposed to be like, like a K-bar, a USMC K-bar, or did I say that right? Yeah. So it's supposed to be reminiscent of a K-bar, and it really looks like it. Like these lines right here are supposed to be like the leather wrapping around the handle, the pommel. I think that's what it's called for bashing. Nice deep hollow ground blade, relatively deep. I mean, it does get down to a pretty thin edge. Surprisingly, nice thick heavy duty blade stock. I mean, the precision on this thing is, they knocked it out of the park. It's definitely overbuilt like crazy. I mean, this is not for the faint of heart. This is not for somebody who likes light duty EDC knives. This is a beast. Big giant hardware all the way around. It does have a proprietary pivot, external stop pins. And when I say internal external stop pins, this is basically what I'm talking about. There's a track right here, and you can see that's in the closed position right there where it stops so it doesn't hit the edge. And then when you open it up, these will stop inside that little groove right there in the track as the lock bar engages. The lock bar strength is really, really strong. I mean, like extremely strong. Now, when I first got it, like all Medfords, it was extremely tight, and it has broken in a lot. I can easily flip it. Well, not easily flick it, but I can flick it. So you see, I can flick it now. If I want to thumb flick it, I do have to keep my fingers off the lock bar, but I can easily do that too. The lock bar strength is on another level of strong though. I heard some people asking because I guess there were some that were having lock slip or something. This thing is so rock solid, it feels like a fixed blade. I've spine whacked it, I've tested it. It is so rock solid. I would love to know how many pounds this thing could hold on its spine, because this thing is, the lock bar is just so strong. The tension, it's almost hard to do. It will hurt your finger after a while. You see the groove they put in here. There's not a cutout here, but you do have that. And then it's not the most drop shutty yet. It's definitely going to keep getting smoother and smoother, but I'm happy with the way it is now because I can easily flick it, easily flip it, and that's what matters. Heavy jimping on the flipper tab. Nice big flipper tab too, so you get a lot of leverage off of it, what you need for a big old heavy blade like this, especially with how tight this is, which now it's getting very, a lot more smoother than it was. I mean, it's actually really smooth compared to what it was. But when you have this amount of tension from a lock bar, it's gonna be difficult to flip or flick for a while until it starts breaking in, which this one is obviously doing very well. Now, the detent, when you do unlock it, right there, so it's not early, it's not too late, you can easily get past it, but it's not really early. The detent is heavy. I wouldn't even call it strong. I'd call this one heavy because of the lock bar strength. And you can see the detent ball in there. It's not a really big detent ball. You'd think that they would just add a little bit. Maybe the bigger detent ball makes it way too hard to open. I don't know. But I would think just a little bit bigger detent ball, a little less strict on the lock bar would be good. But yeah, you do, it is big though. So, you know, you kind of have to let it sit in your palm. And, you know, this jimping, this thing is, you know, it's not too sharp to where it's going to hurt you or anything like that. But, you know, you flip this enough, it's going to start aggravating your fingers. But no wrist, I can absolutely do it. And with the reverse flick, same thing. At first, though, I had to like swing it to get some to get the action. The PVD coating is holding up extremely well, surprisingly well, because I have, you know, I've been using this thing. And why don't we talk about some of the outdoor use I've done, and then we'll go to some of the cardboard cutting. Oh, you guys are wondering what that is? Well, let me tell you. So Real Men Leather sent me this EDC carrier made in real leather. And, you know, you can wear it right on your belt. Belt loop goes through and carry your EDC stuff. Looks like you got a little hole to push the stuff out. That's really awesome. It's got 3 pockets here, and then you can carry your keys right here. Looks really awesome. So we'll be testing this stuff and, yeah, testing it out and seeing how it holds up, seeing how it patinas, seeing how it ages, seeing, you know, the quality, see if any of the stitching comes out. We'll definitely put it to the test and see how it works out. Thanks, Real Men Leather. Real... Listen, guys, I just want to say, always be prepared out here in the woods. You never know what you're going to run into. You never know what could happen. Always bring good water, you know, or a good amount of water. What was that? Probably a bear. Just as I suspected. Bigfoot urine. You guys see that? See that? Clear sign of a Bigfoot. Clear. So this thing does cut pretty good into wood. It does feel like an outdoors knife. The one downfall is that it is blocky in the hand. It does feel bricky. What I mean is flat on the sides. You know, the edges aren't chamfered enough. It's not rounded. It's definitely not going to feel like a Benchmade Griptillian or a Hinder XM24 or anything like that, which we'll do some size comparisons at the end. 4.1 inch blade, 9 3/8 overall. It's definitely a big knife. And like I said, we'll do size comparisons at the end. But yeah, this thing is definitely a beast. But it works really well, even outdoors. I mean, I didn't have no problem because this thing is what was it, 20 thousandths behind the edge, which you wouldn't think it'd get down that thin, but it actually does. It gets down to a pretty good thinness. I haven't had to sharpen it yet. It's still very, very sharp. I did, you know, nick the tip up a little bit there, but that actually wasn't from the stabbing and prying. That was from me dropping it, and it stabbed into carpet and hit concrete. So, you know, I expect that. I'll give it a fresh edge later. I'm not going to make you guys sit through that this time. Maybe I'll do a sharpening video on it. But cardboard, let's talk about cardboard. So, man, this thing really blazes through cardboard. I mean, this isn't an EDC knife by no means. But if you wanted to use it for your cardboard cutting, this thing's a beast and it will do it. I mean, you've got a lot of reach, so it's a long blade, and the fuller doesn't really seem to hinder it at all. You have a lot of leverage into your cuts, and yeah, it works really good. Now, you want to make sure you don't get nothing trapped in this little choil area, which is not a finger choil, but you want to make sure nothing gets trapped in there. But yeah, it cuts really good. And you wouldn't think that it would be a great utility cutter, but holy cow, this thing can do utility cuts. The tip is very strong, but it is acute enough, and you have enough leverage to go down into the cuts to actually make utility cuts. And yeah, it works. That's all I gotta say, really, man. You can do zigzag cuts, you can do circle cuts, you can basically do it all with utility cuts. Now, the biggest thing is it's big, you know, and heavy. But yeah, but it can do it though, no problem at all. And it actually does it relatively well. So slicing, push cuts, outdoor cuts, camping stuff, utility cuts, it does it all. It does. It really can. The clip, I'm not a big fan of the clip. The clip, you know, we'll get more into that with the bad, but it works, you know, so it's not that it doesn't work. It does support the weight of this knife in your pocket, and it does go in and out just fine. So it's not that it doesn't go in and out of your pocket or that it doesn't hold. It does that just fine. Let's get into the bad really quick before we finish it off with some really cool things about the knife. So one bad thing is the lock face is exposed. So this is actually very exposed. So if I was up on a ladder or something, right, and if I hold it right here in the center, it's actually, if I hold it right in the center, you see it is front heavy. Obviously, you know, it's bigger up here. So if I dropped it off of a ladder or something, it's going to fall like this. And when it does, it's, you know, if it hits this part and not here or here, it's going to damage the lock face. I've made that complaint before on some Medfords. They let their lock face kind of hang out, so it's just something to think about. Don't drop it off the ladder onto concrete. Make sure you drop it onto sand if you do that. Next thing, the detent ball is out, you know, and exposed. Stuff can get in there, especially if you use this as a dirty, you know, hard use work knife type deal. Stuff can get in there and get trapped. It's not that big of a deal, but you know, you definitely want to make sure stuff doesn't get clogged in there. Next thing, this lock bar strength is extreme. It does have extreme lock bar strength, and this is sharp. I mean, not like sharp like it's going to cut you, but it definitely, like, just doing that a few times, I mean, it's going to leave, just one time will leave a mark on your finger. So doing it over and over, it will get you. Next thing, you know, like I said before, this thing feels like a brick in your hand. When I squeeze, if I squeeze as hard as I can, it definitely has hot spots all over it. I mean, my hand is just like, all these edges is annoying. Not even annoying. When I was using it outdoors, you really feel it. And even like this jimping right here, you know, when you're up here, I mean, it is sharp. It does start. Luckily, I have a big old callus right there, so it didn't bother me too bad. But if you choke up right here and this drags, you know, like from just cutting and stuff, it definitely gets irritating. When chopping, this part right here, it really gets to your pinky kind of. This is kind of awkward on it. Now, I understand it's for bashing, you know, and hitting things, but you know, which I did actually bash some things with it. Hope I didn't mark it up. No, PVD is very strong on this. But yeah, it can get to your hand. The hitting like this wasn't really too bad. I mean, it wasn't that, you know, the most comfortable, but it wasn't that bad. But axing with like this, you know, I did feel it in the picking. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say you're supposed to wear gloves with it. Stupid. Yeah, probably. But I'm telling you what it feels like in my bare hands. So, next thing, like I was saying, this clip, I'm not a big fan of all these clips. I just don't like these type of clips. I would way rather see a spring clip, something that doesn't chew up your pants or anything, because this ball, you know, there's no give to it. I mean, there's no give. It doesn't have any spring to it. It's just solid and it's just there. So when it goes over your pants, yeah, it goes over your pants, but it's eventually going to chew your pants pocket up. All mine are all chewed up from all kinds of clips, and I'm really getting sick of it, man. That's why I like when I get a good clip, because I like knowing that I can carry my knife all day, and at the end of the day, my pants pocket's not ruined. You know, after wearing a pair of pants 20 times, 30 times, I don't need a new pair of jeans from the clip. You know, because it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse on your pants pocket. So this one, it's not that severe. Where, I mean, it is and it's not. Like it's just not great. I'd way rather a spring clip. Next thing, the proprietary hardware, you know, I know he doesn't like you to get into the knives, but it'd be really nice to be able to maintain this and not have to worry about scratching this or anything, or having to send it in. I'd like if they just sent you a tool. I think he is allowing you to do it as long as you don't mess nothing up. Well, if you sent a tool with it, then you have, you know, a lot less likely chance of messing it up. Next, last little thing is the choils, and this is on all Medfords. It's not that big of a deal, but he tends to do it thicker right here in the plunge grind, even though this edge will pass the plunge, or actually it's like this edge literally lands right on the end of the plunge grind. I don't know why he does it. So basically right here is thinner than right here. You can literally feel it if you take your fingers. And sorry about my fingers. I've been sharpening and working all day. But if I go like this, I can actually feel it get thicker right there. Right at the tip of the edge. Like, so right there, it's a little thicker than the rest. And you can see the edge bevel, how it, you know, kind of smiles up. You know, like the side of a cheek. It's, you know, I just wish they would just do the same thickness all the way across, and then, you know, stop the plunge grind back here. It just makes sharpening a lot easier. But that's the last thing, really. But you know, this thing is badassery. 100%. I mean, this thing, like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. This thing is for somebody who wants a serious knife. And it is a serious knife. This is something that you can show off to your friends. This is something that, man, when you pull this out, you get attention. I'll tell you that much. This thing is crazy cool and super badass. I said before, 4.1 inches and 9 3/8 overall. Here's the Hinder XM24 next to it, which is actually slightly longer than, which this thing is massive in itself. So here's the Spartan Harsey folder, another one that's pretty damn big, and it's bigger than the Spartan Harsey folder. And then here is the Spyderco XL, Manix 2 XL, and wow, that's really shiny in this camera, but you know, it's a lot bigger than it too. Especially in weight, man. It's heavier than all these knives in weight. Let me see the 24. The 24 is heavy. They're pretty close, but this one's still a little heavier. There's no milling on the inside or nothing. It's just 2 slabs of titanium. And then here's the SOCOM Elite, the Microtech SOCOM Elite, and it's bigger than the Microtech SOCOM Elite. It's not a small knife. Not a small knife at all. It is definitely a big knife. I don't know if they needed this back spacer. You know, probably just added more weight. Maybe they did. instead of just yeah, I guess it probably made it go together a little bit more. But these do come in different colors. You can get a bronze finish. I think they have a blue. Basically, you can get any knife you get from Medford many different ways. They'll customize them for you. They'll do things for you. I don't think they'll do milling in this, but they'll definitely do patterns and stuff like that. So if this one isn't your style, they definitely have other styles to put it together. And these things run right around $700. But here's an example of like some of their work that they do on some of their other knives. This is the Medford Slim Midi. I absolutely love this knife. And yeah, this one, you can see their work on there. But this one, it's just raw titanium PVD coated parts. So all the black is just PVD coated, which seems to be very, very strong, very, very tough. I'm absolutely loving this knife. It is, yeah, it's badass. Like I said, you know, this is definitely a showstopper kind of knife, and it's just getting so smooth. You know, the more I wanted to do the review after it broke in, and I can just tell that it's just getting smoother and smoother and smoother as time goes on. So there you guys go. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you guys watching this. And Mr. Amazing, I can't thank you enough. You've done so much for us. I love you guys. Peace.